So welcome everyone to this sprint demo for sprint 2019-43. And as usual, we'll start with a brief summary of what we did in this sprint and then show some demos and maybe have some discussions. So last sprint, as you may remember, we start to work on Connexus to make it work with the model compiler. And we then did it like halfway through, but in this sprint we have completed this work. So now the Connexus works with the model compiler. It is provided as a model library and also a profile that can be used to more easily edit usage of the library. And also we did a full rework of the documentation since it was a bit outdated, and also we decided to include a sample in the product to make it easier to understand how to use it. The TCP server library, here we have also added a sample in the product to make it easier to start using it. And then when it comes to APIs, we have done some work to extend our APIs so that now you can also invoke the model compiler programmatically. And there is a new sample also in the tool to show how you can do this from an Eclipse plugin. And as part of this, we also decided to do a small restructuring in our documentation so that all Java API related chapters now are grouped in a separate top-level chapter. We did some improvements in the transformation configuration editor. One improvement is that we now support relative resource URIs for all references in thesis, which makes them much easier to copy and paste. We also have support now for editing logical threads textually in the code tab, as you will see in the demo. Then we did also some work for the transform framework requested by a customer that we needed to put back a UI that we lost when refactoring to the model compiler from the old classic builder. So now we have reintroduced that user interface, which means that those of you who have your own custom transform can now launch it in the same way as before. We did several improvements in the model compiler. For example, we have improved messages that are output, so related to missing sources. Now we print them in a format which makes it much easier to maintain the sources list. And there were also some improvements in the build variant area. So for example, now build variant scripts can also update the list of TC prerequisites and thread information. In 10.3, we still have BERT as an experimental feature, but unfortunately, BERT no longer works with latest Eclipse. And due to that, we have decided to remove it in RSRT 11. Hopefully, we can put it back later when Eclipse team supports the latest version for BERT. So the sprint deliveries, after this sprint, is actually 3 deliveries. We have, for the first time, we ship a new version 11, a new major version of RSRT and RTist. This is an experimental version that should be installed on Eclipse 2019-06. So that is the summer release of Eclipse. Right now, the latest version is 2019-09, but you should not use that. Then we also ship a new version of 10.3, 2019-43, which is the version we recommend for production work, and that should be installed on Eclipse Photon. And also we have decided to ship an iFix 4 on the 10.2 branch. So that contains some bug fixes and improvements related to the model compiler and the state machine editor. And that version should be installed on Eclipse Oxygen. Older versions we have not touched. They are still the same as before.